All right, here we go. We're on the 15th Sutra. To the illuminated man, all existence in the three worlds is considered pain owing to the activities of the gunas. These activities are threefold, producing consequences, anxieties, and subliminal impressions. The three gunas are the three qualities of matter itself, sattva, raja, and tamas, or rhythm, activity, and inertia, and are inherent in all forms. And this is something we certainly talked about earlier in book 1 as well. The student needs to remember that every form on every plane is thus characterized. Okay, interesting. All right. Every form on every plane is thus characterized. And this is true of the highest form as of the lowest, the manifestation of these qualities only differing in degree. To the man who is achieving perfection, it becomes increasingly apparent how every form through which he, the divine spiritual man, is manifesting causes limitation and difficulty. The physical vehicle of the adept, though constructed of substance predominatingly sattvic in nature, equilibrialized and rhythmic, equilibrialized. I don't know. It's an interesting word there. I've said it a number of times, but I really thought it was equilibrialized, but it's equilibrized. I'm sorry. Every once in a while you come across, because we don't know. I don't know much. We don't know much. It's tough. Our vocabularies are pretty small. So the physical vehicle of the adept, though constructed of substance, predominatingly sattvic in nature, equilibrized and rhythmic, yet serves to confine him to the world of physical endeavor and limits the powers of the true man. Speaking generally, it might be said that 1, the attribute of inertia or tamas characterizes the lower personal self, the sheets of the threefold lower man. We know tamas is inertia, equal to inertia. All right, sorry. The attribute of activity is the prime characteristic of the soul, and it is this quality which causes the intense activity and constant labor of the man as he seeks experience and later as he seeks to serve. And that's Raja. And then we're going on to rhythm, which would be Sattva. Oh, this is very beautiful, actually. There is a deep connection in this here. That is able to be seen. That 3, the attribute of rhythm or balance is the quality of the spirit or monad, or also Father, our Father in heaven, or is this tendency to perfection, which is the cause of man's evolution in time and space, and the factor which carries all life through all forms to the consummation. Let us bear in mind here, however, that these 3 qualities are the qualities of the substance through which the triple spirit is manifesting in this solar system. The nature of spirit itself we know not as yet, for we cannot think except in terms of form. However transcendental those forms may be, only those souls who have attained the highest initiation can pass beyond our solar ring past not, know somewhat of the essential nature of that which we call spirit. See, I'm wondering if we can slide over here and fit these gunas in here as potentially sattva, raja, and tamas. Sattva, raja, and tamas. I'm not 100% on that, but it would seem to fit there. Coming to the practical manifestation of the gunas in the three worlds in relation to man, it can be noted that 1, the attribute of balance or rhythm distinguishes the mental vehicle. When the mental body is organized and man is being directed by his mind, his life becomes stabilized and organized also, and the direction of his affairs proceeds in a balanced manner. And we know that this is the mind here. This is the high end of the mind, or the highest plane of the mental plane. And it says here mind and the mental permanent atom. And we don't technically get there until a pretty high level of achievement, I want to say, at the third initiation. But let's keep going here. 2, the quality of activity or mobility is characteristic of the emotional or astral nature, okay? And when this is dominant, the life is chaotic, violent, emotional, and subjected to every mood and feeling. It is primarily the quality of the desire life. And activity being that of Raja. Let me go back here for a second. Okay, so these 3 qualities of matter itself, sattva, and inertia, are inherent in all forms. The student needs to remember that every form on every plane is thus characterized, and this is true of the highest form as of the lowest, the manifestation of these qualities only differing in degree. Okay, so we can probably see this corresponding to all of this. Okay, so that's good, but now we're going to move on because we're really discussing this form down in the lower 3. And then inertia is the quality dominated. Oh, the physical body. Okay, so we have sattva, raja, and tamas on the chart. Mental, emotional, or physical, or monastic plane, astral plane, and physical plane. Inertia is the quality dominating the physical body, and the whole objective of the ego is to break down that inertia and drive its lowest vehicle into an activity which will bring about the desired ends. hence the use and necessity for the guna of mobility and the full play of the emotional or desire nature in earlier stages of endeavor. And this mobility and full play of the emotional or desire nature is going to be Raja, right? Which is interesting because Raja, as we know it, is mental or yoga of the mind, right? So that's the attribute of balance or rhythm. Maybe I shouldn't be correlating Raja in this sense to Raja in the royal sense. Or we've got it mixed up here. So this attribute is sattva distinguishes the mental vehicle. Quality of activity or mobility is the characteristic of the emotional or astral nature. When this is dominant in life, the life is chaotic, violent, emotional, and subject to every mood or feeling. Now, this could still actually include this. So, we have to consider the kama manasic principle where we're in between these two. All right, we're going to keep going. Pain is the product of these form activities, for pain is the result of the inherent difference between the pairs of opposites, spirit and matter. Both the factors are at peace essentially until brought into conjunction, and both resist each other and produce friction and suffering when united in time and space. All right, pain is the product of these form activities. Pain is the result of the inherent difference between the pairs of opposites, spirit and matter. Both the factors are at peace, essentially, until brought into conjunction, and both resist each other and produce friction and suffering when united in time and space. Patanjali points out that this pain is comprehensive, covering past, present, and future. One, consequences. So we talked about this earlier in the beginning of this sutra, consequences. Pain is brought about through the activity of the past and the working out of karma as it is expressed in the adjusting of mistakes, the paying of the price of error. The settling of past obligations and debts is ever a sorrowful process. Certain past eventualities necessitate present conditions, both of heredity, environment, and type of body, and the form, both of vehicle and group relations, is painful to the soul who is confined thereby. The settling of past obligations and debts is ever a sorrowful process. Certain past eventualities necessitate present conditions, both of heredity, environment, and body type of body, and the form, both of vehicle and group relations, is painful to the soul who is confined thereby. And we have anxieties, two anxieties. This concerns the present and is sometimes translated apprehensions. If the student will study this term, he will note that it covers not only the fear of evil and suffering, but also the fear of failure in the spiritual body in service. These equally cause pain and distress and parallel the awakening of the real man to a realization of his heritage. And then we have subliminal impressions. Subliminal impressions has relation to the future and concerns those foreboding as to death, suffering, and need which dominate so many of the sons of men. It is the unknown and its possibilities that we fear both ourselves and others, and this in its turn produces pain. So this pain covering past, present, and future can be looked at in terms of consequences, anxieties, and subliminal impressions. This is all, and then we also have, so I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to speculate, but this is all so very interesting. Yeah. Okay, let's go on to the 16th sutra. Pain which is yet to come may be warded off. Well, that should be good news. Let's see what's said here. The Sanskrit words here give a twofold idea. They infer, first of all, that certain types of coming misery, as some translations give it, may be avoided by a right adjustment of a man's energies, so that through his changed attitude of mind, painful reactions are no longer possible. And through the transmutation of his desires, old pains are impossible. It infers, secondly, that life will be so lived in the present that no causes will be set in motion along the line of pain-producing effects. This dual inference will cause in the life of the yogi a dual discipline involving a set determination to practice non-attachment and a steady discipline of the lower nature. This will bring about a mental activity of such a nature that old tendencies, longings, and desires no longer attract, and no activities are indulged in which can produce later karma or results. That which is past can only now be worked out, and that type of karma, bringing pain, sorrow, and misery in its train, must be allowed to follow out its course. Present karma, or that precipitation of effects which the ego plans to disperse in the present life cycle, must equally play its part in the emancipation of the soul. It is, however, possible for the spiritual man so to govern the lower man that the happenings of karma, or the effects as they work out into the physical objective world, may cause no pain or distress, as they will be seen and met by the non-attached yogi, nor will further pain-producing causes be allowed to be set in motion. And I think that, we can probably see this at this point. And we can see that that's possible. And, all the talk of holding, steady in the light and, keeping our focus above, this has a lot to do with it. All right, 17, the 17th sutra, the illusion that the perceiver and that which is perceived are one and the same is the cause which must be warded off, is the cause of the pain-producing effects, which must be warded off. This sutra brings us right back to the great basic duality of manifestation, the union of spirit and matter. It is their interplay which produces all the form-producing modifications or activities on the various planes, in which is the cause of the limitations which pure consciousness has imposed upon itself. In a small commentary such as this, it is impossible to enter with any fullness into this subject. All that is possible to do is to touch upon the subject as it affects man himself. It might be summed up as follows. All pain and sorrow is caused by the spiritual man identifying himself with his objective forms in the three worlds and with the realm of phenomena in which those forms have their activities. When he can detach himself from the kingdom of the senses and know himself as the one who is not that which is seen and touched and heard, then he can free himself from all form limitations and stand apart as the divine perceiver and actor. He will use forms as he desires in order to attain certain specific ends, but is not deluded into regarding them as himself. Students would do well to learn to hold the consciousness that in the three worlds, which is all that concerns the aspirant at this stage, he is the highest factor in the well-known triplicities. Students would do well to learn to hold the consciousness that in the three worlds, which is all that concerns the aspirant at this stage, he is the highest factor in the well-known triplicities. You have the perceiver, perception, and that which is perceived. Again, we've talked about this before. But they are in a different order. And then we have the thinker, thought, and thought forms, the knower, knowledge, and the field of knowledge, the seer, sight, and that which is seen, the observer, observation, that which is observed, and the spectator, vision, and the spectacle. And these are different. Some of these are different, but we did talk about these first three earlier. And many others equally well known. The great objective of Raja Yoga is to free the thinker from the modifications of the thinking principle so that he no longer merges himself in the great world of thought illusions, nor identifies himself with that which is purely phenomenal. He stands free and detached and uses the world of the senses as the field of his intelligent activities and no longer as the field of his experiments and experience gaining endeavors. Oh, that is great. School's kind of over at that point, in a sense. Right? Then the student becomes the teacher. It must be remembered that the means of perception are the six senses. I'm not alluding to the fact that we stop learning at any point. In this particular instance here, it does seem like that's a good correlation, though. He stands free and detached and uses the world of senses as his field of intelligent activities and no longer as his experiments and experience gaining endeavors. Yeah, that's amazing. Simple, clear, straight to the point. So it must be remembered that the means of perception are the six senses: hearing, touch, sight, taste, smell, and the mind, and that these six must be transcended and known for what they are. The means of perception reveal the great Maya, or world of illusion, which is composed of forms of every kind, built of substance, which must be studied as to its atomic and molecular construction, and as to the basic elements which give to that substance its specific differentiations and qualities. For purposes of study, the student will do well to remember that he must investigate the nature of the following factors in the polar opposite to spirit, which we call matter. And then we've got atoms, molecular matter, the elements, the three gunas or qualities, and the tattvas or force differentiations in their 7 forms. I would assume that would be closely related to the 7 rays and the 7 planes. So through an understanding of the nature and distinctions of matter, he will come to the comprehension of the world of form, which has held his spirit a prisoner for so long. This Patanjali points out in the next sutra. So we know that this is definitely significant here, right? And this is really the means of perception reveal the great Maya world religion, which is composed of forms of every kind, built up of substance, which must be studied as to its atomic and molecular construction, and as to the basic elements which give to the substance its specific differentiations and qualities. So there you have it. There's our science coming into play here. And the synthesis. All right, let's go on to 18 here. That which is perceived has 3 qualities, sattva, raja, and tamas, rhythm, mobility, and inertia. It consists of the elements and the sense organs. Okay. The use of these produces experience and eventual liberation. So that which is perceived has 3 qualities, sattva, rajas, and tamas. That which is perceived, the screen, this what we're looking at, the spectacle, that which is observed, that which is seen, this field of knowledge, thought forms, this is what we're looking at here, right? But you're the perceiver, thinker, knower, seer, observer, and spectator. This is what all that consists of, that we should know a bit about. See how these gunas come into play here. It consists of the elements and the sense organs. Use of these produces experience and even an eventual liberation. Okay, this is one of the most important sutras in the book, for in a few concise words, we have summed up for us the nature of substance, its constitution, its purpose, and reason. Much time might be given to a consideration of each sentence and the words, the qualities, the elements, the senses, evolution, and liberation, expressed a sum total of the factors concerned in the growth of man. These 5 are that with which the human unit is the most concerned and cover his career from the moment when he first took incarnation and throughout the long cycle of lives until he passes through the various gates of initiation out into the larger life of the cosmos. First, inertia distinguishes him. Inertia being tamas. And his forms are of so heavy and gross a nature that many and violent contacts are needed before he becomes aware of his surroundings and later intelligently appreciates them. The great elements of earth, water, fire, and air play their part in the building of his forms and are incorporated into his very being. His various sense organs slowly become active. First, the 5 senses, and then, when the second quality of rajas or activity is firmly established, the sixth sense or the mind begins to develop also. Later, he begins to perceive in all around him, in the phenomenal world, the same qualities and elements as in himself, and his knowledge rapidly grows. From that, he passes to a distinction between himself as the perceiver and that which he perceives as his forms and their world of meaning. The sixth sense becomes increasingly dominant and is eventually controlled by the true man, who passes then into the sattvic state, where he is harmonized in himself and consequently with all around him. His manifestation is rhythmic and in tune with the great whole. He looks on at the spectacle and sees to it that those forms through which he is active in the world of phenomena are duly controlled, and that all his activities are in harmony with the great plan. When this is so, he is part of the whole, yet freed and liberated from control of the world of form, of the elements, and of the senses. He uses them, they no longer use him. What a perspective switch. This next 19th sutra looks like it's going to be pretty long. We just really hit some great deep stuff here. I think I'd like to leave it here. We did 15, 16, 17, and 18. And we will go ahead and pick up on 19 tomorrow or later. We're really starting to pull this picture. This picture is really beginning to get pulled together. Hopefully our minds are beginning to all get quiet now. This is we're in the spring. It's March 27th. We should all be really looking forward to a beautiful next few months where we can receive a lot of what's new coming in, new energy, and this is getting to the exciting time of year, and we're getting to the really exciting level of understanding in these books as these things are coming together. We've done a lot of reading. We've done a lot of absorbing, done some contemplating along the way. But as we progress, these things, the train, as he put it earlier, I want to say, the train is coming up with it and synthesizing behind us. This knowledge is getting synthesized, and we really are learning very rapidly, very, very rapidly at this point. If you could take a minute to consider where we come from. It may feel like we don't know anything at all, which is technically the case, because the more we study, the less we really know, and the more quiet that we get. But if you take a minute and look to see what you do actually know now, I believe you will see it's an amazing amount of knowledge in comparison to where we were just a short time ago. And I want to say, essentially over the last 155, 60 days, or really, let's say the last 6 months that we've been reading. If anybody's, following along, we're certainly gaining a lot in this. Okay, we're about to get into some more very interesting stuff again tomorrow. The divisions of the gunas are fourfold: the specific, the non-specific, the indicated, and the untouchable. So we're going to get even deeper into this, which is going to be great. Okay. Have a great day. We'll see you again real soon.